in West Valley City. And there's only a few details that have been reported so far, but I'm just curious for those of you that are joining me, did you feel it? Do you live in the Salt Lake Valley, or was it felt outside the Salt Lake Valley? But I just barely saw it. I uh, I was looking at Facebook. I'm friends with Tiffany Barker. She posted that. She has her own channel called, I think it's called A Voice from the Dust. But just look up Tiffany Barker. I've interviewed her before. She went to the rededication of the St. George, Utah temple and had an amazing experience there. So I interviewed her, but it was on her channel or on her Facebook that I first saw this. Did you guys feel this? We got Captain Colin here. Anybody else? There's only 8 people in the chat. I don't know how many are going to join. But from what I saw, it was Salt Lake Tribune, I believe. They said that they thought that this could be a potential aftershock from the March 18th. I think the March 18th, 2020 earthquake. The same earthquake that caused the Angel Moroni on top of the Salt Lake Temple to drop his trumpet. That's what it said in that article, that this could be an aftershock from that earthquake, which I didn't know that aftershocks could come like that much later. I always thought that aftershocks were within like the next few days, maybe like a week or two. Arantza Condi is here. Hi, Arantza. Everybody make sure to follow her on Instagram. I can't remember if she's on TikTok or not. Okay, so Arantza's here. She says, hi, Judy Cook. Hi, Jared. Pam Metcalf. Hi. Angela Coley. Good evening, all. And then Arantza Condi, that far apart. She's talking about this potentially being, I was just saying that this could be an aftershock from the 2020 earthquake in Magna in Utah. And I don't know, I guess so. I guess it's possible. I didn't know that you could have aftershocks that far apart. So, from what I saw, initially it's always kind of like, initially you get like different estimates of like earthquakes, like the magnitude. I saw 3.5 and 3.6. I think it was Fox News 13 that said it was 3.6. Let's see, we got the Colossus of Clout. I moved to Utah a month ago because I fear we are merely scratching the surface of the destruction that's coming. I don't know if Utah's where you want to be, especially since the Salt Lake Temple is being renovated, and one of the big aspects of that renovation is preparing for an earthquake, which is why this kind of interests me, and especially if this is somehow tied to that earthquake in 2020. Let's see. Muncie Hansen says, Taylorsville, we felt it strong. Well, with a 3.6 or 3.5, hopefully there really isn't any damage. I don't think there would be from that type. So I'm assuming that you're probably okay and your property's fine. Linda Mann says, hi, Jared. I didn't either. Borky baby, I'm in Ogden. I didn't feel anything, thank goodness. Earthquakes scare me. Yeah, the first time I ever felt an earthquake was actually in Kansas. When I was living in Utah, there had been a couple times that friends or family or coworkers said that there was an earthquake and they felt it. Like, there was one time I was at work and I guess I just didn't notice it. But there was one of my coworkers that was like, yeah, I thought that there was like 2 people, just like horsing around and they were like wrestling on the ground or something like that and just kind of like shaking the cubicles. So I never felt any earthquakes in Utah, although there's been various times where other people did. So the first time I ever felt an earthquake was in south central Kansas, and it was a couple times. I think it had to do with the fracking that they do in Oklahoma. Let's see. Pam Metcalf says, live in Bluffdale. I didn't feel it, just saw the notification on my earthquake app. Borky Baby says, I think 3.3, 3.8. Yeah, I just did a quick little bit of research before I jumped on here, and I saw 3.5 and 3.6. Linda Mann, the Salt Lake Temple is prepared now. Just a matter of time. Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about the fact that earthquake in 2020, it definitely had meaning. You know, it's not every day that the angel Moroni of the flagship temple of the church drops his trumpet as a result of an earthquake. And then the missionaries coming home, and temples worldwide being closed, and a worldwide pandemic that ruined everybody's lives to one degree or another, and then all the other chaos of 2020. And so if there was an earthquake... What?
I'll be back.
Okay. So if there was an earthquake that just happened, and it's an aftershock from that earthquake, and we're just a year out from the open house and rededication of the Salt Lake Temple, and now that the Salt Lake Temple is done with the seismic upgrades, I have to wonder about that. I have to wonder. Brandon Potter says, I was on my bed myself at home a few minutes after my parents left. I'm in West Valley by 7200 South. It was my first time feeling one in a few years. Borky Baby, Utah has had multiple earthquakes in the last 2 weeks, all in the threes. Oh yeah, that was another thing that I saw. I think it was a Salt Lake Tribune article that said that this is like the third one, I think, that has been strong enough to feel. NEA 9000 says, it'll be fun to see the stats on how the temple renovation handled it. Maybe it'll expose flaws like it did when they buried the original foundation. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, I wonder what you're thinking right now if you're on that project. It's, oh my gosh, it's really interesting too, because, man, I'm gonna have to do probably a full video about this. There's like all these like video ideas that are coming to me that I have to make. I'm gonna be pretty busy tomorrow. I'm gonna see if I can make I'm gonna see if I can make one tonight. It'll probably be about this and think about the implications of it. But okay, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that'd be interesting if it exposed some kind of flaw in the renovation. Oh yeah, I was just thinking, for this to happen the day after Elder Clark T. Gilbert was ordained the newest apostle, I don't know. Maybe it's related. I want to see what other days those other earthquakes happened on. Okay, written Spidim says, on March 18th, 2020, WW had the 5.6 magnitude earthquake. I think we're going to have much larger quake coming here soon. Yeah, it could be. I would pay attention to this. I really would. Borky Baby, haha, those people in the office were exercising the spreadsheets. Yeah, they sure were. Sharon Sherwood, Draper here, didn't feel anything either. KJG leaves a heart. Pam Metcalf, kids living in Daybreak felt it though. So it's sounding so far like mostly people on the west side of the valley. Daybreak, which is in South Jordan, and then obviously West Valley City. I can't remember if anybody else in the chat said that they felt it. RLTN SPDEMA says, I was in Sandy when the 5.6 magnitude hit. In Sandy, it felt like a small 3.5. Okay, is it letting me scroll? Okay, the haystack. Christ came to the Nephites in the midst of them repairing their temple. Yeah, I've said before, I wouldn't be surprised if the second coming, all the appearances, however it works out, if it happens before the rededication of the Salt Lake Temple, because I think that would catch a lot of people off guard. And I think some people feel safe because it's like, well, it wouldn't happen before the temple's rededicated. I wouldn't be so sure, especially what's happening right now with Iran. Even though I tend to think that I have a hard time seeing how this would turn into Armageddon. I did talk about some possibilities, but it's not like I really know. But seems like things are coming to a head with Iran. I just saw, I've seen today a couple posts on X talking about the fact that Iran might send all their rockets, all their, ballistic missiles in response to any attack from the U.S. and Israel. We've talked about Hezbollah, we've talked about the militias in Iraq and Syria. I don't know. It's kind of unpredictable, I think. I'm just going to call you RL. RL says, I was on the air talking about the 5.6 magnitude quake hit. I've been watching quake activity for 7 years now. Jason Paul, I'm in Saratoga Springs and felt it. Oh, so it wasn't just felt in the Salt Lake Valley all the way down into Utah Valley. Although Saratoga Springs is like, the northwest part of Utah Valley. Brandon Potter, someone in Edda felt it. Where's Edda? Darren Winder didn't feel it in Riverton. So that's interesting. Jason Paul felt it in Saratoga Springs. Darwin did not feel it in Riverton. It was felt in, I have one report here that it was felt in Daybreak, which is in South Jordan, Utah. Of course, with a 3.6 or whatever, like I said, there were times that, I don't know how large an earthquake it was whenever it happened when I was living there, but there were earthquakes that I missed. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it just depended on what you were doing at the time. Brandon Potter corrects Erda. Where's Erda? I'm not familiar with Erda. I don't know. I really, really, really want to know if this is an aftershock from the 2020 earthquake. Because if it is, it means that they're connected. And if that earthquake had significance with the Angel Moroni and everything that happened, then this one may have significance. Alessandra says Erda is close to Tooele. Really? I've never heard of Erda before. Is it north, south, east, or west of Tooele? Prepper's Apprentice says, I never felt anything. Laugh out loud. Well, if you're in Utah, Prepper's Apprentice, I'm sure that you will, as long as you stay there. I'm pretty sure that's why the Salt Lake Temple is being renovated. Although it could simply be for the worldwide earthquake that's going to happen at the Second Coming. RL says, my channel covers earthquakes and other emergencies and disasters. I'm an emergency management preparedness specialist. Howdy from Rowdy says Erda is north of Tooele. Okay. So I wonder if I've driven through it and I just didn't notice. I was in Tooele when we went there in September. I took a nice video of the Desert Peak Utah Temple. It's on my other channel called Explore Church Sites. Ildi SS says, Obrigado, Jared. Mais sinal a tremendo. All I know is obrigado is thank you. I should know this because my mom is Portuguese. And I know that tremendo, I think that's earthquake. RL says, I have never heard of Erda before. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just want to give you guys that update for anyone that is not in Utah and didn't feel it, or anybody that's in Utah and didn't feel it. This might be something to pay attention to. It may be the next video that I make, if there's any more to say about it. KJG says, in Salt Lake City, can confirm that there have been no reports of angel trumpet dropping over here. Now that would be wild. The Haystack says, the Lord confirming his new apostles, many progressive members were unhappy with his call for some reason. Yeah, that was going to be potentially another video, because I saw a Salt Lake Tribune article saying that he was a controversial pick because of, I think, things that he cracked down on while he was, I guess, president of BYU Idaho, which seemed in line with excuse me, which seemed in line with when I started my channel. President Holland spoke at BYU at the beginning of the semester, of like the fall semester of 2021, and he upset a lot of people because in a Christ-like way and in a loving way, he threatened people's jobs if they didn't, if they kept going the route that they were going, basically working against the church, which is just silly because they're working for a university that's owned by the church. DG Bladework says, did not feel it in Tooele, was in the temple when it happened. I didn't know till just now. And then we have Cabria here. Will you walk with Jesus? We're going to be doing an interview soon. And Cabria, it probably isn't going to be tomorrow. I meant to get back to you sooner. Probably on Monday. And then that interview will be out either on Monday or Tuesday, most likely. DG Bladework says Urda is north of Tooele. And then Babo Kavari says Urda is first exit off of 80 when going to Tooele. Has truck stops there. Jason Paul says, I work in the church office building. Oh, cool. So if the Angel Moroni falls, I'll notice it. Yeah, please let me know immediately if that happens. Preston McFarlane in Ogden did not feel it, which I guess that's not too much of a surprise because Ogden's pretty far away. I am surprised, though, that it was felt in Saratoga Springs. The Haystack, my Angel Moroni is always dropping his trumpet. Haven't found a meaning to that yet. Nancy Downs, there was a 0.5 in the same location earlier this morning, so that could have been for a shock, just FYI for those who live here. Probably won't have a bigger one anytime soon, but who knows. Yeah, I guess we'll see. All right, well, I need to take off, so thanks for joining me tonight. I hope that everybody's property is good. I don't think that a 3.8 or 3.6 or whatever it ends up being, I don't think it would really do that much damage, but I hope everybody's good. Watch out for my next video, and I'll talk to you guys later.